learned along the way. So just a quick primer on my background. So I've graduated with a master's and bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from University in Zagreb. That was back in late 2015. I spent a couple of years working in that profession. And then at one point I taught myself how to code. And actually for the past like 6 years, I've been a software developer. I mostly worked, for the first couple of years, I worked as a backend developer, also developed some like mobile applications. And the past 2 years, I've been working as a Solidity developer. And actually from last month, I've kind of switched my career again. And I'm looking to become a smart contract auditor. So that's kind of my history in a nutshell. Basically, before I kind of start the whole presentation, I'm just like genuinely interested in how many of you are working on a full-time job, looking to break into security research. So I mean, there is 11 people. If you could maybe like I don't know, raise your hand or just leave a comment. I'm just kind of interested in how many people are in this situation.
Awesome. Please, everybody, feel free to leave a comment in the chat if you're trying to now get into Web3 security.
Yeah, I kind of guess that there are people in this situation since I've announced it, on my tweet on the talk. So I kind of expect, this type of people to be interested in this talk. Okay, just kind of leave a comment. Also, I want you to kind of think about what's stopping you of doing this. So is it if you're working in a full-time job, maybe after work you're just trying to learn security, what's stopping you? Is it like financial security? Is it your general knowledge gap? Or maybe you just don't have enough confidence. You think that that you're not there yet. And also after the talk, I would like to anyone who's willing to just kind of share his opinion on this topic and share his perspective. So, okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning, my background before programming was I had a bachelor's and master's degree in petroleum engineering. Just to give you the timeline again, this is late 2015. As usual, graduate. I was looking to, after I finished college, I was looking to get a job in that field, and I managed to get employed in this big corporation. And I spent the next 2.5 years working as a oil and gas engineer until somewhere like March 2018. And then at that point, I totally decided to leave that career back and start programming. And just to give you a perspective of what was the situation I was in at the moment, I had no knowledge of programming. So also I was never kind of this computer geek type. I never kind of, I didn't start programming when I was 12 or something like that. So I literally didn't know what a for loop is. And so some of you might kind of wonder why did I even wanted to go into software development. So that's actually my personal reasons. I've kind of listed generalized things here, but my reasons for changing my job, for changing actually my whole career, is to kind of achieve a more desirable lifestyle. So at the moment, as a petroleum engineer, I was kind of location locked. I was also in a big corporation. And then I've seen, on online, all of these fancy jobs that, software developers do. You can work remotely, you can travel the world, and so on. At that time, I was 25, so it was really kind of, it really looked appealing. So that would also be kind of the part I had this, like, at that moment, I had this fear of missing out, which I kind of just got by just looking at the lifestyle of some of the programmers, online. Also, I had some examples in real life. For instance, my cousin didn't study anything. Actually, he didn't manage to finish the college, but he started to work as a software tester, and then eventually founded his own company. He was extremely successful. So I was kind of looking at those examples, and I was kind of, I wanted to do the same. I guess if we relate this back to auditing and security research, I think a lot of people are in the same position. You've probably seen, a lot of guys on, not a lot, but some guys on Twitter, posting how they're earning like 50K a month and so on.
Salaries.
Spearbit salaries, Sherlock, lead Watson salaries, and so on, and you just get this fear of missing out. So that was a big reason why I wanted to break into software development. Also, obviously, I had some like personal growth, also ambition and preferences towards programming. And kind of the last thing was, in my case, the working environment was okay, but that can also be a reason why people are looking to change, careers and jobs. So this would be kind of my position at that moment. So, okay, just a sec. So this is like 2018. As I've said, I'm not a computer geek. I don't know anything about programming. I don't know what a for loop is, and I want to start, something completely new. Obviously, I started to devise a plan. I was looking for advice online. So kind of the first bullet point is that when you're trying to break into something new, there is a lot of good advice online, but maybe it doesn't apply to your case. For instance, the advice I picked up was, if you want to be a software developer, you should really be good at core computer science topics, like data structures, algorithms, and so on. And obviously, there is nothing wrong with that advice. It's really good advice, but it kind of didn't apply to my case at the moment. So what I did, I actually returned to my parents' house, to study software development. And I had the initial plan. I will jam in onto these core topics for a period of a year. But after like 4 to 6 months, I really started to lose motivation. I was focusing too much on the theory, too much on these theoretical things. And luckily, at one point, I started to dive into practice. I started to actually build some Android apps, and that kind of helped me to land my first job. But this would be kind of the first point. If you're trying to break into something new, you listen to this advice. For instance, for security research, this could be along the lines, if you would probably ask someone from Trail of Bits how to break into security research, they'll probably give you this long list of web 2 security things which you need to learn, all of these theoretical concepts and so on. And it's good advice, but you might get demotivated if you really focus this much on theory. Also, some other mistakes I did is I didn't collaborate enough. I didn't team up with others. Luckily, all of you are here on OpenSense Discord, so you're not making the mistakes I did, because a lot of people here are also beginners trying to learn. So this is a great move. Also, I kind of lacked some actual role model, and I had this issue. I didn't know where to kind of market myself. Where should I promote myself? I tried pushing some videos to YouTube, doing some posts on LinkedIn, also some posts on Reddit, but it didn't get picked up by anyone. And this was pretty hard, when you're learning something completely new. But despite all of these difficulties, in the end, with consistency, if you're, starting from scratch, trying to learn something, eventually you will get there. Just because you're consistent, just because you're grinding. And obviously, I managed to land my first job, and then afterwards it just got better and better. And also when I joined kind of the crypto industry, it also got much better than in traditional Web2. So this is kind of the wrong way. As I've said last month, I've resigned from my position as a software developer, a Solidity developer, and I'm breaking into security research. So now it just has been a month, just a month has passed, but I'm trying to do it the right way. So first thing I'm kind of incorporating, and this advice is out there, but I'm not sure if everyone is following it, is you need to kind of learn in public. You need to find some platform. It can be Twitter, it can be some other like Discord group, and just push your knowledge. Write some articles, just share your progress with the world. And as a consequence of this, companies and other partners, other individuals will come to you. So you don't need to kind of cold call companies. You don't need to send kind of emails for interviews, but you kind of do the opposite. Also, if you're going to, if anyone is going to kind of quit his full-time job and try something totally new, you just have to acknowledge that there will be hardships. For instance, this last month when I quit my Solidity job, for the first couple of weeks, I couldn't, sleep very well. I was too excited. I was worried at the moment. Just our body doesn't want to accept that you're changing something. It doesn't want to go outside this comfort zone. So just be prepared, if you're doing that. I think this applies to most people. It certainly applies to me. Also, obviously, this part is like practice over theory. This will depend on what stage are you. If you're a total beginner, then you have to kind of split it maybe 50-50. Right now, in my case, I have a lot of like Solidity. I have a lot of Solidity practice, so I'm kind of just going on public competitions. I'm not like diving too deep into theory. And kind of the last point I'm trying to do is always use this iterative approach. So, for instance, when I'm starting a competition on C4, the first day I'm going to be totally confused, with the whole code base, with the documentation and so on. But I will try to make small progress. I'll try to make some notes. I'll try to figure out at least like 5% or 2% of the code base. And then I just repeat this process day after day, and eventually you will get there. You will get there. So just don't be like frightened with anything like big code bases and so on.
Just wanna say something here, go back a little bit to what you're saying about, sometimes you get some advice that's not really like the best for you, especially talking about developers, the data structures, the classical algorithms you need to solve to get into Google or some of these big tech companies. I knew a lot of really good developers during my career, and very few of them have this knowledge. So I mean, it goes from person to person. I guess if you want to be academic, really scientific, it's really good to know what kind of data structures you're working with. But if you can ship good code and do it fast, I mean, that what counts in the end.
Yeah, for sure. I've kind of noted that because at that moment, I literally wanted to, when I quit my petroleum engineering job, I literally wanted to bridge this gap. Like I wanted to squeeze in maybe 3 years of computer science into maybe one year. This was my initial plan.
Nice.
To really learn everything I would learn if I went to computer science. And maybe for some people it will work. This will work if you're really patient, and maybe if you're in a different position in your life. But at the moment I was 25, I came back to my parents' house, and I was earning some decent, money when I was working as petroleum engineer. And it was after some time it really got really dry, really hard to keep on moving like that. So just kind of take. If anyone is having this type of plan, just take it into account.
Nice.
Yeah. So okay. So also one of the advice which I kind of follow is just to immerse yourself in a subject. So if you're breaking into security, don't just study security. Also, in your free time, try to listen to various podcasts. Maybe invest in crypto. I'm not going to give this advice too much. Maybe just some smaller amounts of money. Also, try to use the apps, engage in the community. So I think all of these things are very important to kind of quickly get up to speed. And kind of the final thing, if you're starting something new, you need to define success. You need to define what succeeding means to you. So in my case, I've kind of split it in let's say sort of like financial or practical goals and more like personal goals. So these like financial goals are just like scoring really good in some of the competitions. So I'm earning some money. Also along the way, trying to breaking into like private auditing services and trying to join any of these top-notch DA organizations such as Spearbit, and also basically this sharing journey on the Twitter, which I mentioned before. But I also try to define things on a more personal level. So oftentimes in the past, I've found myself not enjoying, day-to-day work. So one of the goals is having more fun, at least trying to. Also, one of the important goals is that I'm constantly trying to engage with people, build relationships, talk with people on Twitter or elsewhere, and just kind of stay away from some of the relationships that don't align with my goals. Also, at the same time, I kind of wanted to minimize obsessing, how much money I'm earning. Am I earning enough? Am I progressing enough? Just to give some time for myself, and also overloading, myself with stress, too much work, which would kind of be maybe like trying to do several competitions at the same time, and so on. So these are some of the things that I'm trying to avoid. Also along the way, obviously I'll be furthermore improving the depth of my understanding of the whole EVM and Solidity and Web3 security, but this is kind of expected along the way. So yeah, that would be the presentation. So as I've kind of noted at the beginning, if anyone wants to share his own story on what's his position at the moment,
Awesome.
why does he want to break into security research? What's stopping him? Feel free or just yeah.
I'm inviting everyone to speak, so guys, feel free to jump in or leave your question in the comments, okay, in the chat. My question for you is being an engineer, because when you say petrol engineer, you went through engineering school, right?
Yeah. I studied. So it's basically petroleum. It's called petroleum engineering. I have like a bachelor's
So you had a
and master's degree.
So you had a bunch of math and others, maybe physics, and other stuff
Physics.
that helped you a lot, I guess, with when breaking into code, right?
Yeah. Actually, petroleum engineering is heavy in like math, but actually it's more heavy in like thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, and topics like this. But I didn't learn any coding on the college or during my like teens.
And how
So
did you have how, because it's a very bold move, I mean, I've seen people do it from time to time to get into development and dive into security and just become, it's a bold move. I mean, for me, it would be really hard to do such change. Like I mostly navigated inside development, but never really into like a different field, I would say. Like, what was your motivation, you know, to keep on and let, oh, I'm just gonna do it?
Also online. I had this like motivation. At the moment, I was 25, and I knew that I still have the time to change. As you get older, it gets harder and harder. For instance, if you're 35, you can change your career. You know, it's not. You can still do it, but it's harder. Maybe you have a family. Maybe you have some other things going on. So it gets harder and harder. And I just did this kind of lifestyle whereby you can work remotely. Also, the financial aspect is strong in the like IT industry. This all kind of appealed to me at that moment.
Yeah, it makes a lot
Also,
of sense.
the petroleum industry. I mean, the petroleum industry is like dying all the time because of the renewable energy. So there's a lot of like FUD in the. There's also FUD in petroleum industry. You know,
Yeah, because of
every couple of years
electric.
there are
Yeah.
talks. Yeah, like electric cars and so on. I mean, it never died. I mean, but it was constantly all of these things kind of contributed, you know, to me switching. But you're right. It was yeah, it was hard the first maybe 1 or 2 years.
And
I would say. I mean,
what is the most frustrating thing you're facing right now regarding being in security? Because you've been working as a Solidity developer, that's pretty cool. But what's being frustrating, and what have you learned that you can give us as alpha? You know, like this is being really effective for me.
yeah, what's the most frustrating? Um, yeah, that's a good
Can
question.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, there are a
explain?
couple of
I'm gonna explain mine. Okay,
yeah,
then you can maybe, for me,
yeah,
whenever
okay,
I'm looking at, let's say I just open a contest and I'm looking at the code for the first hour, I seem to be completely blind. You know, the only questions I have are really stupid, like about validating addresses or maybe casting, but I cannot see it. You know, I cannot simulate a chain in my head and see the connections with the protocols unless I dive into that. So it's a little bit frustrating, you know.
yeah. I mean, I can relate to that point. So for it, I mean, I've so far I've did like two public competitions, and actually one of the things which is kind of frustrating is that these competitions aren't on C4 aren't long enough. So no way you would audit, you know, the first protocol I audited was Tapioca DAO. So it's 14,000 lines of code, and the duration of the challenge was a month, but I only got to do it for 2 weeks, and that's also kind of frustrating because there isn't just enough time to go through and dig deep, and obviously this first maybe a couple of days are the worst, you know, because you really I need to emphasize this iterative approach. So the first day I just try to figure out something, you know, just try to write some notes. I also like switch in between the code and the docs, just to get this really high level overview of what the code does. So that's kind of my
Awesome.
strategy.
I think our friend here has a question. Go on, bro. Zero, you're on mute. I don't know if you're seeing that. Or if you have a question. We do have a question here in the comments, which is, what is your auditing methodology?
Uh-huh. So it kind of differs depending depending on the project. So if for instance, right now I'm doing this shell protocol on C4, which is really math heavy and quite complex. So just by looking at the code, it's hard to reason what's happening. It's hard to find some edge cases. So I'll try to write some like fuzz or invariant tests like for that particular case. On the other hand, when I was doing this Tapioca, some parts were math heavy, but most parts weren't. It was just kind of a bunch of contracts, composed together. So with regards to that one, I actually I don't know if many people are doing this, but Tapioca has like a user interface, and they have a bunch of contracts deployed to the testnet. So I actually started by sending, transactions through their front end, and then debugging them through Tenderly. And this kind of helped me to figure out what are the typical user flows.
I have another question here. The question is, which type of study?
So this was the starting point, and I just yeah.
So the question,
So
go on.
Make you make the qualitative. Yeah. So if
Yes, I am. It's just that I'm having a little bit of a connection problem, but it's okay. So, did you answer the question? Which type of study made you have the qualitative leap?
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's meant by this.
I
The
think like
person
I think that
X burst.
I think what he meant is that okay, what made you have more results when analyzing code? Have you more leads? There's any kind of research, specific research you did that gave you knowledge into that?
I wouldn't highlight anything in particular. As I've said, you just need to use different approach based on the code base.
Awesome.
So
Makes
I know,
sense.
again, to mention Tapioca, it used layer 0. So I was literally building my own POC with layer 0. Also, I had some experience previously with layer 0, and then I was testing like that on like real testnet. So I wasn't just like looking at the code, because it's hard to reason. It has this layer 0 has this like deep inheritance tree, a bunch of contracts. So it's easier when you can kind of debug it somewhere.
Awesome. Another question that I have here is how much time do you spend auditing as compared when you were a developer?
How much time do you spend auditing as compared when you? So when I was a Solidity developer, actually, I would say 20 to 30% of the time was spent on auditing. And it was kind of a mixture between an audit and a PR review. So each and every PR was like audited by all the team members. And also when we would finish the project, we'll also start building tests and auditing at that time. What was that kind of the question? How much time do you spend auditing?
Yeah, I guess if you are, I guess the final question is: are you working more as an auditor than you're working as a developer?
I would say a similar amount of time.
Awesome. Do you have any specific tools you like to use, like Slither, Mitro?
Yeah, so I'm just breaking into security research, so I'm not that big into tools, to be honest. I'm kind of still trying to master the art of figuring the high level of a code base in as short time as possible. Not
Awesome.
to dive too deep into some kind of pattern matching or static analysis, but just try to develop this muscle of reasoning what the code does. So
That's really
that's kind of
good.
my objective at the moment.
That's really good. Another question that I have is: do you follow a scheduled time management with auditing? Are there times when you spend an entire day on audit, or you try to balance your time?
Yeah, for the past month, I only did auditing. Maybe only these the time in between contests. I would spend researching some topics or just maybe preparing some tweets, since I'm quite active on Twitter. But yeah, I would the most of the day I would spend auditing. Obviously, if also writing some tests to prove something. I mean, it also applies to. I mean, it's practically auditing. So yeah, most of the time it's auditing. Most of the time.
Amazing, brother. Do you have any closing thoughts? Any message you want to leave us?
Yeah. So I'm just kind of sad that no one didn't share their story of breaking in, since I like going full time into security, since I think several people are in that position. But I want to encourage kind of anyone here on the call to just keep pushing, and just acknowledge the fact that we're kind of in difficult market situation right now. It's in the middle of the bear market, and if you kind of grind it now, it will all pay out in maybe 6 months or a year when the market picks up. So yeah, just grind it.
I think Max is here to solve our problem and explain you how he got into Web3 security. How's it going, Max? Long time, man.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I listen to the stuff on YouTube afterwards. I can't always join right away. So thanks for doing these again. Yeah. So, Wood Hustler, I've been doing Web2 security for 4 years. I got a pretty standard computer science degree from college. Would have been graduated over 4 years from now. I'm not in Web3 security, but the big thing that I did was just CTFs and just reading a lot. Were the big things I got in, which I think you already really emphasized for getting into Web3 security. Like I remember just going online doing CTFs. I bought a random IoT device and was just like, "How does this work?" and reverse engineered it. And over time, you just get better and you find vulns. I'm still trying to break into Web3 security myself, but we're getting there. But that's kind of how I got into Web2 security. Do you have any particular questions or thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, sounds like a good path. Just trying to break into something through practice. It's a quite a good way. But so you're trying to break into Web3. What's kind of stopping you at the moment? It's like is it like financial security? I mean, you're worried about the finances if you would go all in, because probably you're not going to start earning immediately something, or
Yeah, that's a big thing. And like I've been doing stuff on the side for probably about a year, but the full commitment, like I have a good job that makes good money. I like the people I work with, so I feel like I'm not going to be willing to jump full in until I know I'm going to have a similar level of payout. At least that's where I'm at.
yeah. I think we all kind of differ. I'm type of a person, which I can't do two things at the same time. So for me, it's like either I'm going to do security, or I'm just keep on doing like development. So, but I guess it differs for everyone. I mean, it's just important if you really want to break into Web3, just do it on the side. Obviously, that's the advice. Just try to grind as much as possible on the side, and when the market picks up, I mean, you'll be able to transition more quickly than at the moment. At the moment, it's a bit tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's the competition. There's a lot of competition on these contests, and it's hard to earn anything. It's hard to lock in private consultancy gigs. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
I mean,
yeah.
Once the big market comes, I mean, you can't get in when the big market's hot. Like when the market's hot, you're too late. You can't learn that fast. So this is the time to get in,
Great
and
point,
we're
bro.
waiting. We're waiting.
Yeah. Agree with that.
And just one thing that we keep coming back time after time is just start. People, they do CTFs, they know everything. They would be amazing auditors, but they don't start. So yeah, make the move. Go work on the next contest. We're seeing so many people doing that. So I guess there's a way.
Yeah. Definitely. Also, I mean, you should know what you're most passionate about. For instance, I'm not that much into bounties, bug bounties. I would rather maybe actually that's my plan to mostly transition into like private consultancy and private audits. Just build like good relationships with several clients and just go into that direction. But also it differs from person to person. So it's also good to try out. Luckily in Web3 you can try out a bunch of things. It's lucrative. So yeah, in a couple of months you can try a lot of things. So it's good.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
you have any? Can you explain us why you don't like bounties, or it's more like that you didn't explore them enough yet?
I don't know. I just don't. I tried to do one on Immunify for like 5 days, but it's too uncertain. You can spend a lot of time and not find anything.
I understand.
So it just maybe I'll do a couple of them, but I don't see myself being full-time bug bounty hunter. That's for sure.
Amazing, buddy. Does anyone has more questions? I see Pasp, I see Hentrit. Let me invite you guys to speak. Thank you is also here. Hey Pasp, how's it going? So Pasp has been quite successful into breaking into Web3. She's one more of these examples that we have. There are people that are just rocking out. So yeah, I mean, it's a common goal, I would say.
Yeah, I think I've seen the success on the team, like on the team on one of the C4 contests. So congratulations on that one.
Thank you. I'm just starting. Yes. Was saying that I feel just starting it with the web experience. It is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. I think something is wrong with them.
Your mic is really low.
Okay, I will take the headphones. Sorry.
Awesome. We also have Saber here. Saber is also breaking into Web3 security, coming from, I think, a design background. Awesome. So I don't really have a story to share. I didn't have a full-time job before breaking into Web3. I was full-time student pen testing. Okay, that's.
I was too close to getting a good certificate. Get senior job title. Okay, good for you.